If you've ever wondered if the relationships romantically that you've been involved in have been affected due to the relationship wiring that you've had with your father, stick around because I'm going to discuss 3 ways that daddy issues show up in women and 3 ways that daddy issues show up in men. Hi, and welcome to my channel. I am Portia, the communicator, your trusted mental health life coach, and I coach people into the loving, long-lasting, healthy partnerships that they desire and deserve. I want to give a special shout out to all of the new subscribers. Thank you for being here. And if you are new, give this video a thumbs up. If I say anything that resonates with you, share the content if you know it can be beneficial for someone else, and join the conversation in the comments. Speaking of which, here is an opening question. Has your relationship with your father either helped or hurt your romantic relationships? Let me know. Now, if anything I share in this video hits home for you and you want to work through these issues and you want to be able to transform your relationship and love experience, book a call with me. The information to do so is in the link beneath this video. Okay, now back to what I was saying. I first want to discuss what daddy issues are and how they can show up in women, obviously because that's my vantage point, but I also grew up with nothing but brothers and I saw how it affected them. And the differences are very clear. So let's talk about how daddy issues show up in women first. Now, much like mommy issues, which I have discussed in previous videos on this channel, daddy issues are the negative results that one would experience due to the loss of fathering in early childhood or in adolescence. And so when we talk about daddy issues, especially in women, the first way that I want to address is women tend to be more masculine when they haven't had a masculine presence around as a means of compensating for the lack that they've had. Oftentimes, women who grow up in single parent homes, single mom homes, they have to develop this tougher exterior in order to survive and feel safe in the world. Oftentimes, their mothers had to become more masculine because that masculine presence wasn't in the house to balance out their feminine energy. So women with daddy issues tend to be harder and less forgiving. I remember once, this was probably well over a decade ago, there was a guy who I was talking to, slightly entertaining, and I remember him asking me the question. He was like, Portia, do you think that you have the ability to be soft when it comes to men? And I had no idea what he was talking about. I was like, duh, yeah. I mean, what do you want me to do? Rub your shoulder? Of course I can do that. I didn't understand the energetics of it all. But men who come around women who tend to be heavily in their masculine can automatically pick up this tougher exterior. Sometimes it's in our body language. We don't even realize the poker faces and the closed arms and the rigidity that we have as mechanisms for safety or even insecurity or just having to do it all on our own because we could never depend on a man to be there because our fathers weren't. So that is one way that daddy issues can show up in women. The second way that daddy issues can show up, I kind of alluded to it just a second ago, but it's when there's a general distrust of men because either a father wasn't there, so you learn how not to depend on a man, so you become ultra independent and you don't know how to ask for help. You're sometimes unwilling to ask for help because so much of your life has been wired to you doing it all on your own and just taking the brunt of problems and everything by yourself. And so that independence can also show up when you are constantly giving again, heavily in your masculine. You're independent to a fault. You don't know how to relax in your feminine. You don't know how to let a man be a man, to step up and lead because you just haven't been wired that way. And mainly, again, that's out of fear and distrust of men in general because, again, dad either wasn't there or if dad was there, dad may have been abusive. Dad may have been negligent. And so we have learned what to do in those situations. And it is still the result of distrust and fear at the end of the day. The third way that daddy issues can show up in women is in the area of affection and or sexuality. So for instance, someone who has daddy issues may struggle with sexual promiscuity because a woman is looking for the man she never had in her life, starting with her father. But the same is true of women who are on the completely opposite side of the spectrum. A woman may struggle with being affectionate at all because if daddy wasn't there, she doesn't know how to be affectionate with the opposite sex. All she's been around is women. And so there can tend to be a rigidity, a closed offness that these types of women will experience. And that was my experience growing up. I remember once having one of my close friends admit to me that at one point she thought I was asexual because I didn't seem to be attracted to anyone. I didn't have a story about boys. I was such a late bloomer. I wasn't the girl that had the guys in rotation or even one who was around. And so for the longest, she just thought, I just didn't think that you were attracted to anybody. Not knowing that I was deeply insecure about attraction in general. It didn't seem like people were attracted to me, and it seemed like the ones that I were attracted to, they were, busy doing something else elsewhere with someone else. And in the situation of a woman who struggles with affection is kind of feeling angst when it comes to being around men and showing them affection, because when have you had the practice? When have you felt loved enough by your father to show affection to him, let alone any man? Oftentimes there can tend to be a vendetta. So there's a lot of angry and combative energy that shows up often with women who are dealing with daddy issues, and they just don't know it, but that oftentimes is the root. I got a bone to pick with you as a man if I'm a woman dealing with daddy issues that are unresolved. Now let's switch over to how daddy issues can show up in men. The first way you can tell a man may be struggling with daddy issues is that he cannot stand on his own 2 feet. He struggles to do that because he never had a man show him how to do it. And most of the time, these men had nothing but women that were there to raise them, nurture them. It was their moms, their grandmoms, their aunties, their sisters. And so now when they show up in a romantic capacity with you as a woman, they're looking for you to do it. So they need to borrow some money until payday. They want to use your car. They need to come and stay at your place. Because a lot of times these men have never had their own place. And if they did, it was short-lived, or they were always living with someone else. So that's one way that you can tell a man may be struggling with daddy issues, which in this case inherently means that they got some mama issues too. Another way you can tell that a man is dealing with father wounds and daddy issues is if he struggles with anger, and that anger turns into, let's say, addiction and vices of some sort, because there are unresolved issues, especially if a man had a very abusive father or even an absentee father, whether dad was there or not. If there were problems surrounding his father, he may be looking to other substances to help him cope with the deficit he feels that he has as a man, like not feeling like he had a fighting chance or a great start. He could struggle with anger because he feels that there were things that he didn't deserve, if it was abuse, or feeling like he was completely in lack of certain things, feeling like he didn't deserve to be dropped off and just orphaned in a sense. That anger can also show up in the realm of physical abuse. So now he's seen his father abuse his mother, and sometimes it's very easy for a child growing up in that environment to then become what they've seen, even if it's what they don't like. The third way that you can tell a man is dealing with father issues is if his dad was a womanizer, he likely is too. Because toxic masculinity says the more women you have, they tend to think that means the more of a man they are. And men like this really struggle with being alone. They don't know how to do it. They may also struggle with monogamy because they're so used to having women constantly around them because that's their program and their wiring. That's what they saw modeled to them from the man who was in their life. You can also tell by way of that if a man has multiple baby mamas. He doesn't know how to be a present father. Oftentimes, these men struggle with that. That is because his father wasn't present either. He may be dealing with father issues because he didn't see how to be a good father, because his father was a rolling stone. And if he is exhibiting those same traits and behaviors, it is times likely that he is just repeating a cycle, as they say, a generational cycle. Now, if any of what I've said has resonated with you, drop down in the comments and let me know. Does this ring true? Have you experienced any of these things? Do you feel like your partner, whether that's male or female, are they showing signs of these things that hint to dealing with daddy issues? Also, if you are wanting to work through these things so that your romantic relationships aren't sabotaged, so that you are able to experience healthy, functional, dynamic love with your partner, book a free call with me. I have a program that is titled Rewire for Love, and I work with women, and I've actually started piloting a program working with men to work through these issues, to work through parental wiring, to release that, to address those things so that you can move into a new story and experience and to manifest and to create the lives of love that you desire and envision for yourself. Again, the link to book a free call with me to discuss my program and how it may be a fit for you, that information is in the description box beneath this video. Now, as always, I don't tell all the signs because I want to hear from you. Let me know if there are any other telltale signs that you're aware of that lead to believing someone may be dealing with father issues. If this video resonates with you, give it a thumbs up. Share this content if you know someone else needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I really appreciate you for being here, taking the time to sit and watch this video. And until the next one, I hope you stay blessed, take care, and bye for now.